Everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing an unboxing for this ridiculously giant box. I have the Steamforged Games Resident Evil board game. This was a Kickstarter. It's maybe the third one. I don't have the other one, so I believe this is the third one. They've done the Resident Evil board game for RE2 and then RE3 as well. Unfortunately, I missed 3, which is my favorite Resident Evil, and I saw that this was a thing. I had no idea that the other board games even existed, and then I was like, okay, it's for the remake of Resident Evil 1, so I was like, all right, if there's one that I can get, it can be the remake, which even though 3 is my favorite, I think the RE remake is the best Resident Evil game that there is. So, and also I realize I'm just talking over this box. It's a ridiculous box. I got the Alpha Pledge, which is the all-in thing. So like everything that they had on Kickstarter is in this box. So we're gonna go through it and check out all the pieces and everything like that. It's ridiculously heavy at the box. Also, I got 234 out of 2,500. Holy crap! The thing is heavy. So getting into it, we're gonna go piece by piece. I cut it open ahead of time just to have that prepped. Also, bring that in. So I wanted to get this because, for one, love Resident Evil. As you can see, got the Resident Evil, Resident Evil shirt. This is, I believe, a 20th anniversary shirt, if I'm not mistaken. I've had it for a minute. Got the little stars badge here. Got Jill. Got Leon. Got my laced records. That is the original. Or actually, no. This was the original, the soundtrack for the original game, and that's the soundtrack for the Resident Evil remake game. If you like Resident Evil and you like the music, which I think a lot of people do, at the very least, everybody loves the save music. Laced Records got you covered. They also have a bunch of other stuff. They do a lot of video game vinyl, so I got Mega Man from them. I got the record for the very first Tekken game, and that took me back. I listened to that, I was like, wow, that was a crazy flashback. Well, there you go. So boom, Resident Evil 4 coming soon. So Resident Evil 4, the board game, is coming soon. They already have Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3. You can still buy the main games for Resident Evil 2 and 3, and I believe some of the expansions for both as well. I think it just depends on if whether or not they're sold out. But you can't get all of it because there's a lot of Kickstarter stuff. For instance, we have these right here. So these are for the game itself. Neoprene dashboards, which I didn't think of this, and I'm not gonna lie. I'll check something out real fast. Ignore this. I might use that. I shouldn't, because eventually it'll mess it up, but that's super cool. So we got the neoprene board. So this is where you put your cards at, and maybe coins for where the bullet, where the gun is. Don't recall, but definitely where you put the cards at, obviously your health and everything like that. That was one of the things where it was just like, firstly, because I knew, I'm like, all right, I missed 3. That was the one that I would have been like 100% like, give me every single piece and every single expansion, all that stuff. Because I missed that, I knew I wanted this. I was like, I know that I want to have a Resident Evil board game. And like I said, with it being the remake, it was definitely the perfect one to have. Where it's like, if I only have one, it's the first game, but it's also based on the remake of the first game, which is, I would say inarguably the best Resident Evil game that there is. Doesn't have to be your favorite. It's not even my favorite, but I still say it's the best. So had to pick this up as the one, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna go all in, have everything. So first off, those are cool. I definitely like that. I love the fact that it has the badge there. That just takes me back to just the start screen between Jill and Chris. Okay, let's do this. You know what? God, there's 6 boxes in here. We have the board game, and then I would assume all the expansions. So we'll actually just go ahead and start at the beginning. Oh, actually, nope. These are the game trays. But I do love this. I know how simple that looks, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of Resident Evil, so I'm like, even when it's simple stuff, I'm like, I like just looking at the stars logo. I always thought it looked really cool. I think it's very simple, nice black and white. So I think that looks good. They got the, that reminds me of the Resident Evil movie, and I think it's just the Y and the Z make me feel like that, even though everything else doesn't look like the Resident Evil movie text. For some reason, it kind of does at the end. It's the Y and the Z. I don't know why. It makes no sense. But I like this. It's just the game trays. I'll check those out a little bit later. I'm sure I'll be stacking a bunch of stuff all in the background here. Box is like slightly bent up, but I don't think I'm gonna care too much about that. I don't think that's gonna be a concern for me, so we'll put that there. Let's see what the heck we got. Oh my goodness, it's like other box. There are 9 boxes in this box. Counting that one, there's not 9 boxes in here. It's insane. So we have the Kickstarter exclusives. So this one will pop open because obviously it's nothing. I believe these will just be the extra characters, which were a lot of them. In all honesty, I think the only character I remember being an extra, I'm pretty sure it was Rebecca with different stats was one of the extras, and then I'm sure there's some other ones. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of them, but I think some of them were just alternate costumes where they were the characters. Others were actually like, all right, here's legitimately a different character. And this is super random because I forgot to mention this in the beginning, even though it is in the title. This is a 420 video, hence the baked sushi. So at some point, I'm sure I'll be telling a lot of random stories about, you know, just my favorite moments in Resident Evil because I'm high and I want to talk about Resident Evil. Here we go. Oh, okay, so we got quite a few people. So we have Jill. Okay. For a second, I thought that was Jill with the basketball, but that's because I actually see Rebecca with the basketball. So we have Rebecca with the basketball. So she's got, you know, the hidden picture from RE2. So we got that outfit in there. We have her with the shotgun. We have her with a Magnum, it looks like. We have Jill in probably my least favorite alternate costume from the remake. I don't even know the actual title of it, but it's the one where she has like the goggles. That's honestly my least favorite. I never wear that costume. I believe that is, who is that? That's some dude. I think that's Wesker without the glasses. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure who this character is. I want to say that's Wesker though, because it looks like Wesker to me. It's so itty bitty, so tiny. Normally I don't have to like get super close to the camera, but these are so small, so tiny. Let's see who else we got. Some of these characters I'm not gonna remember the name of. That also looks like. Oh, hold up. Okay, that's Chris, because he has this jacket. He has his Made in Heaven jacket, so that's Chris. Bunch of other characters. Jill with a hat. Chris and my least favorite Chris costume, which is the one where he has like the beanie and stuff. I do not like that costume either. That's personal opinion, of course. It looks like Enrique. Nope, that's Barry. That's Barry. Oh, never mind. It says SFG on the bottom. I thought it was the star symbol. I was like, that's a cool feature. It's just their logo on the bottom. And I believe this is Joe. Can't remember his name. Maybe Kenneth? Is Kenneth the first dude? I think Kenneth was the dude outside. I can't remember. It's been a minute, and you know, like I have my random knowledge. There's so much stuff I know about Resident Evil. I forget a bunch. That's why I end up watching like the same videos over and over again. I'm like, I know it, and like half the video I'll just be like, oh yeah, like that's me watching Resident Evil videos. I'm like, I know I watched this like 4 months ago and I just forgot. Why not watch it again? It's Resident Evil. So we got those are the Kickstarter exclusives. We'll shoot through this one here, which is the terrain box. So this will just be a bunch of, you know, bits and pieces, obviously terrain. One thing, because I'm not really super like big in, you know, as far as getting like, you know, board games in this realm for sure, I don't know how long it'll take before I eventually do decide I'm going to paint some of these miniatures. It's probably going to be a very, very long time. It might be a long time before I even actually get to play this, because I think technically you can play by yourself, if I'm not mistaken. I do like that all of these come with a little plastic shield on top. Like so far that's been the case, you know, for the figures, that's what it was. And then same for the terrain, even though I'll most likely keep all of this packaged up like this. Like even once I actually play the game, I'll probably, well, it's most of the same stuff inside the box, inside the bags, so I think it'll be kind of easy to do that, fortunately. But it's one of those things where I think we've all had that experience where it's something of, oh, okay. I'll be honest, I didn't expect the doors to actually have a hinge on them, and they actually open up. That is a very cool feature, and I'm not gonna lie, I might actually just leave one of these out just to have like a little Resident Evil door up next to like Jill and stuff like that. Like this might be something that I paint first, just to have like a Resident Evil door. So that's actually very cool. I love that. I wasn't expecting that at all. So then we have some of the special doors. This looks like the one from that like random hallway where the dogs first come in, and also where the Gammas come in. I think it's the door from that hallway where in the original game you have to put the crests in. and I legit, it's been so long since I played the remake, I do not remember what you have to do in that specific segment anymore. But I know in the original, that's where like the moon crest and the sun crest and, you know, the hexagons and all that stuff go, is in that very special door. And that's what that reminds me of. Might not be exactly what it is, but that's what it reminds me of. I think it's just different doors with different designs on them and stuff. But that's what that one looked like. We got a couple other ones here, but they're a bunch of doors, admittedly. A bunch of doors. These are something. Check this out. Okay, so that's stairs. We got stairs and railings and stuff like that. So that's what this bag is for. Put that back in there. And I think the rest of these are pretty much the same. Excuse me. Yep, more doors. These are doorways. Better, yeah, doorways. So they're not actually doors, they're just the doorways. And I believe these are, oh, that's cool. We got some benches. We also have some ink ribbons, so that's pretty neat. Like, this stuff isn't, it's funny, I was thinking, like, I have some Resident Evil figures, like 1/6 scale figures. They're a lot bigger than this, so like, unfortunately wouldn't fit, but you can still see the detail a little bit well enough. This might be the one time I actually need to zoom in on things, but that's cool. We got the typewriter on top of some files, and if I had some like 1/12 scale, I mean, heck, these are probably smaller than 1/12 realistically, and I'm sure you guys won't even be able to read it, but it does actually, yeah, you can't even, there's no way you can see that from here, but it does say ink ribbon on it, so there's that. But these are very cool. Some of these I definitely do want to keep out, but like I said, my figures are bigger than all of these, so it won't make that much of a difference. But if I get like some smaller figures at some point in Resident Evil style, I can like paint some of these up and then just have like the smaller figures next to them. I mean, of course, I have the actual miniature, so I could also paint some of those up and just have them standing next to the things that are in line with them. And I've already made it where I like, it's boom. I've already done it instantaneously. Took it out once. Already made it where they don't fit perfectly in. The ultimate test. Good enough. Fortunately, the box is a bit bigger. Hold up. There we go. Just do that. And we got some just enough space on top. Yeah. Very sturdy. I like these. That is also upside down. Yes. I mean, I guess technically it doesn't matter, but for me, I'm gonna do it this way. That way we have it like that, and then once you turn it, boom. So do that. Tilt that back here. That's heavy. Oh, this we will save. That is the retro pack. This was the thing where I was like 100%. If I only get one extra thing, it would have had to have been this. I really wish I could have got, this is one of the things that I wish I could have gotten for RE3, where like not having it now, I'd have to go to eBay and, you know, prices and all that craziness. This is the thing where I'm like, man, if I could have got the Resident Evil 3 one, I would love this so much. Like, some of these cards, I legit might frame some of these, and I already know that just because of the fact that it's like the retro version of it. So I think that's super cool, because we're gonna have, obviously, you know, going back to the classic version, but this we will save for later, because I think that's gonna be like my favorite thing. Sorry for hitting the mic there, but that's probably gonna end up being like my favorite part. So I shall save that for later. Oh, hold up. Oh, forgot about these. So we have the monster box and also the dice. In a nice red, you know, blood red vial. Umbrella logo up top. Capcom, ages 14 plus. So that's very cool. The Resident Evil board game dice pack. Oh, that's nice. It has a little bit of, actually, that is a much bigger piece of foam than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was just a cap. Ooh, these are nice. Whoops. And it's gone forever. I'll get it. But we got, well, we now have one red die, but we had two. 3 blue die and then 1 black die, which also has the Umbrella logo on it. So that's pretty neat. Definitely like that. Obviously simple dice. I'm gonna put this over here so I actually remember that I need to look for that die later. But those are neat, very simple, of course. Then we have the monster pack. This is gonna be the same thing. Like, it's gonna be super simple. We're gonna go through, you know, maybe open a bag or two just to see which ones are in there, but I assume it would just be the monsters, of course, of the game. I don't know why, but that makes me think I should get some cereal. A good high treat would be some cereal. I believe these are the normal ones. I don't think this is extra. Yeah, because some of this stuff. Okay, so yeah, so this is all the extra stuff. I already bent that. I always suck at that. If you guys have any, like, I don't really care. Like, I've always fine. But I know there are people who are like, you know, when you collect things and you want to open it up and not bend it. What's the trick to doing that without bending it the first time you open it? Because they're designed in that way where it's like you almost have to do it to get them out because the flap is flush. So you have, like, it just doesn't come out any other way. So if you guys have any advice on that, I would love to hear it. So here we have our creatures. We got the red gamma hunter. I guess technically it would just be the hunter alpha. I always forget which one is actually in which game. I think, yeah, it would be the alpha because the gamma would be for 3. That scared the crap out of me. I thought I caught one and they were all gonna fly out, but they're all trapped in here. So we have the Cerberus and what I would assume is the Crimson Head based on like the long fingernails there. So that's pretty cool. And then we have a bunch that actually are just kind of loose in the bottom. That's what the noise was. So we got zombie. These guys are the same zombie. These guys are different zombies. There you go. For what tiny detail you can see on this figure from so far away. What is that? I'm definitely gonna have to get like a second camera and put like my macro lens. I don't do stuff like this where the figures are so tiny, so it doesn't really come up very often, but maybe I'll actually take some pictures of these. Maybe, if I even remember to do that, maybe I'll get some actual close-up shots of some of these things. But that was a simple one. Zombies, dogs, the things we expect, the gammas. I believe the red was potentially one of the specialty things. I think there was an option to also have like where they would almost be like reflective a little bit, where it would kind of look like they were bloody, like shiny reflective blood, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was one of the things, but I didn't think it was really worth it. So I didn't end up getting, that was like I think that's actually the one upgrade I didn't get. And I think it was just because it was like, it just wouldn't be enough of a difference, especially with how small they are, because they're even smaller than I realized they were going to be. But especially with how small they are, I don't know why I actually put that away. I put it in there right as I take something out. But as small as they are and stuff, it was like, well, there's no need to really have it like reflective. I'm not going to paint the red ones anyway, but at the same time, it was just like, they don't need to be shiny. It's perfectly fine. So I think that's like the one minute upgrade that I didn't actually end up getting. And so here we have Resident Evil Director's Cut, which I absolutely love. Kickstarter edition. This is the official one. Yeah, okay, so we'll see what's in here, because I'm pretty sure this second box is actually the game. Also, this is, with it being Resident Evil Director's Cut, I guess it is based on the original. I could have sworn, because obviously the print on the front of the box is the remake. All of this looks like classic Resident Evil so far, which I find interesting, because it's definitely supposed to be based on the remake. But I'm sure we'll get to one of these boxes actually having the stuff in it, as far as the remake versions of everything, unless there's a second shipment coming, which I would not expect. I would assume this should be the whole thing. The Director's Cut Kickstarter edition, survival horror. I absolutely love this. You know, seeing the eye like that just looks really good. Like this, and then just that next to this is like, that makes me happy. That looks good. This also, because of how it looks like the super early versions of like the PS1 games and like the European versions, where it's like the really tall boxes. We didn't really have that much in the States. I got, like plastic little one, which I totally should have got, because I have my Director's Cut right over there. But this just looking at my TV and just looking at this, it's like, that's like my childhood right there. Probably shouldn't have been, definitely way too young to have played Resident Evil when I first played it. But we all have those moments, it's like, you shouldn't have seen Alien, you shouldn't have seen, Poltergeist, or whatever. And mine just happened to be more video games and a lot of Freddy Krueger. Definitely saw the first 2 Freddy Krueger movies like a ridiculous amount of times. But my early horror stuff, which is probably why I love horror so much, is because of Resident Evil. Well, oops. Love that right next to, and it still fell down, but right next to my record of it, that just looks very good. And so here we have Resident Evil the board game Director's Cut. So here we go with the remake style. So I guess maybe it's because I got the Kickstarter edition, it has the Director's Cut like classic packaging to it, even though it's based on the remake. because I definitely thought it was going to be like all, you know, remake look. And I thought the retro box, that was kind of the whole point. I thought the retro box was the only thing that was going to be, you know, old school Resident Evil. And then like everything on here is like classic Resident Evil text. Like all of these boxes are so heavy. Like all of them are the eye, which I don't hate. That looks very cool. Yep, yeah, they're all the eye. And they're all heavy too, which I also don't hate. So we have Resident Evil, the board game director's cut. Already showed that off, but on the inside, we'll see what we got here. Got some maps, knife only mode if you want to do that for your run, real survival mode, which I think is pretty cool to have that option. Let's see what else we got. One dangerous zombie mode, that's very cool. So they actually have like the bonus modes from the remake, which is actually really sweet. So I love that. Those are all the alternate game modes, trader mode, epilogue cards, all the stuff that I have to read. Please bring these back. I want to see these in Resident Evil 9 so bad. I know there are a lot of people who would be like, yeah, we just can't play Resident Evil because they got like the spiders that just look too realistic. But I want that so bad. Like it would freak me out. And I feel like the spiders are like the #1 thing is like bring back giant tarantulas. And I think that'll get everybody. Like I don't think, and I love spiders. I'm a weird person. I actually love spiders. I think they're very interesting and all that stuff. But most people are not like that. Like it's bugs and then spiders, which are not bugs, they're arachnids. I learned that from Spider-Man. Here's some random stuff here. But we need them back. We need them back. I think it would look so good, and it would just, ooh, classic. It would just ruin everyone's day, but it would make me very happy to see the spiders come back. I think it would be like the greatest thing ever to just have them in the RE engine, and it's just like, here you go, giant tarantulas. We'll see. One day, maybe the dream will come true, and you know it'll be like the scariest thing ever done because people freak out with spiders in general. But I would love it. I'd be very happy. Well, actually, we're gonna check this out first. So we got 2 sets of cards here. I would assume that these are all your health cards. Okay, so we have. Oh, that's actually pretty neat. So it shows the find, caution, and danger. And then this one is blue herb, so I would assume that they're all that. I'm going to cut these open and we're going to look through to see exactly what everything is, but I would assume it's, you know, healing items, support items, maybe small key, lockpick. Well, the lockpick would be permanent. That'd be Jill's thing, so maybe just the small keys. And I'm gonna try to make sure I don't actually scratch this thing up while I'm doing it. Itty bitty cards. But man, love Resident Evil, definitely my favorite franchise. It's my #1 franchise just on earth. So Resident Evil's #1. I don't think I'm gonna be getting too many other board games. Green herbs, master of knifing, I love that. Knife for the knife only mode. Knife. Mansion West item box. This item box can only be accessed during the following scenarios: first floor West A, first floor West B, first floor C, second floor West A, B, third floor A. East box, underground item box, boxes. And now we're just at random umbrella cards. So that's what it looks like. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but that's what all of these are. So maybe that's like bullets and this and that. And then you have the health where it goes, you know, find, caution, green. So that's actually find, caution, green. Find, caution, danger. So that's actually pretty cool where you actually have to put that, and I would assume that goes somewhere on these mats and everything. I'll have to figure all that out when I eventually end up getting to play. But that's pretty cool. I definitely like looking at that. And now we're gonna hop into, there we go, these large cards, which are multiple things. The art on the back is just a door, which is very cool. Sorry, I'm like, I know I'm just doing this. That's not because I'm high. It's because I'm trying to make sure I have it right side up, which I do. Okay, there we go. So it's the door on that side. This one just said spawn a crow. So I'm sure these are all the actions and whatnot that you take in the game. So that'll be pretty cool to see. Okay, did a little cut in there. Spawn a crow, spawn a zombie. These are actually very simple images. So I already have this up there, but that's spawn a crow, which there's not much to it. Although the back is definitely awesome. I just love the Resident Evil text. I just think it looks cool. After that, we have spawn a zombie, which is like almost identical, except it's just, you know, fuzzy images of 2 walking figures. And I'm curious, refresh items, Spawn a hunter, it's another blurry image. Refresh items. Ooh, hold up. Spawn a chimera. This one I like. I want to try to keep them in order a little bit. So that's the Spawn a chimera. I just think it looks creepier because it's upside down. That's what made me stop. I was like, hold on a second, let me see what this looks like. That one I actually think looks nice and creepy, where it's just this blurry image that's clearly hanging upside down. It just instantly, as I was like flipping through, I was like, hold on, it like automatically catches your eye like something is upside down. So I think that one's actually pretty cool, but the rest of these are very basic. I would have loved it if they were obviously the actual characters, if they could like show images. Spawn zombie Albert Wesker, enemy Wesker. So then we have a lot of the little tasks and stuff like that for what Wesker can do, all the different modes, things like that. So, and then it goes right back to spawning more stuff. There's a couple of those. I definitely did that with the wrong hand. I should have done that this way, but I got so many cards, like either way it's like slightly uncomfortable. But here we go. Now we got some stuff. So we have Zombie Forest. Get that grenade launcher. We have snakes. So I do as many as I can. We got the web spinner. Chimera. My favorite, the crows. I just actually like crows in real life, so they're not really my favorite in the game, but I actually like crows, the bird. Zombie Albert Wesker. That's an interesting one. And then, oh, the classic. You died. Very cool. As claws reach out. Oh, so this is. So I'm trying to see what we got. So I'm only seeing one. You died. So maybe it's just automatically like it's always that's always the ending. So maybe that's what it is. But let's read it. You died. As claws reach your throat and tear into supple flesh, your last thoughts are of failure. You failed your mission. You failed to rescue your teammates. You failed to survive this nightmare. As the darkness closes in and your senses dull, you can only hope to be spared the indignity of rising once more as another undead fiend. You died. That's cool. Would have been better if I didn't like read that wrong, like at the last second and screw that up, but that's cool. I like the writing on that. We got some more characters here. We got Edward Dewey. We got the classic Richard. Get that shotgun. Joseph! There we go. There it is. Enrico. Kenneth. Sorry, these aren't super duper close up and everything. Albert Wesker. Brad Vickers. I love the fan library. This is the perfect picture. Absolutely love this. This is amazing. That's just hilarious to me, so I love that for sure. We got Forrest again. My favorite. This is advanced Jill Valentine, so I assume the image is different, but Jill Valentine, my favorite character in all of Resident Evil. Then we have advanced Rebecca Chambers. I was about to say, I assume this is advanced as well. Chris Redfield. Advanced Barry Burton. What is this? We have advanced Joseph, and then it's advanced Kenneth, which let me actually see if these pictures are different because I wasn't paying attention. Nope, pictures are the same. So I'm gonna do my best to keep these all together, especially advanced versus normal. Joseph. Yep, these are all the same. All right, so those are the characters. I would assume that those are all of the cool remake ones. I know the advanced ones for sure are all the extras when it comes to, like, you know, the Kickstarter stuff and things like that. But that's definitely cool. And also, didn't realize the backs are different for a lot of these. So that has that, and then we have this one, which I love only because it's blue. Of course, blue is my favorite color, so you know that might be my slight bias towards Jill, and it doesn't hurt that, you know, she's hot. It doesn't hurt, especially in the remake. Then we got our zombies and all that good stuff. All right. So I think when we get to the retro stuff, we'll have the older images of all the characters. Although I'm not entirely certain. what the differences are going to end up being. I would assume, you know, obviously for like Chris and Jill, it'll be their classic costumes, and I know some of the items will look like they do from the original game. So I believe it's like I'm pretty sure the image is like a blue, like, you know, kind of the blue item background. You know, I should have split those up between like the characters and stuff, but yeah, I guess I'll do that later. We have tons of cool stuff here. I like this. Our Chimera, there it is. We have, there we go, multiple snakes, and not just one snake, but multiple snakes kind of slithered together. I actually really love this, where it's a flat piece and then it's just a little snake head sticking up. No, these are all so tiny, so it's hard for me to really show any of this off with my normal camera distance. They need to come back. This seems slightly backwards. Hold up. I think mine's backwards. Interesting. That's funny. Okay, so I was like, I think that like this looks backwards, right? Because I'm like, why would the back be sticking up? Like, why would the back legs be sticking up like it's walking? And then we have this one here, where it's like facing forward. So, and they still look, well, I guess it would be, oh, that's so fascinating. There we go. I don't know if that really helps too much, but you can see sticking up in the back, sticking up in the front. I would assume that that has to be backwards, because that's the only thing that makes sense, unless it's supposed to be like shooting obviously the web on you, but that's also not really something you see in the game. But at the same time, that's something they could easily implement as far as the board game. So maybe it's not backwards and that's just how it's supposed to be. One is like visually tacking forward, the other is spinning you up, and then, you know, depending on the options, maybe you can escape or not escape, stuff like that. So maybe it's not backwards. We got the crows. I mean, whatever detail you can, if my camera even remotely focuses, there it is. That's the best I can do. And then we got some zombies and some characters. I'm gonna take this one out because I think this is actually very cool. He got his knife going. I'm pretty sure that is Kenneth. So I just think that looks cool. And then we have Richard with the shotgun. That's also very cool because he's holding it over the front, which I don't think I don't recall him ever doing that in the game, where he puts the shotgun over his other arm. But it does remind me of the unlockable shotgun from Resident Evil 3, where that's how Jill does it, where like that's how she aims, because it's like it's not a sawed-off, but it's a short shotgun, which is definitely cool. And it's basically whatever that gun is that they put in RE4, it's basically that's pretty much that same shotgun. It's so hard for me to tell, like, you think I'd be able to tell just based on the outfits, but for some of these characters, it's like they really aren't in it much. And then when you see like full designs, I'm like, who are you? Because I've only seen you either with your cave, like your chest caved in, or your head being taken off. And then when I see the whole person, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know who that is when they're alive. It's actually really funny sometimes when I do that. All right, so that's everything for that. I wasn't sure if there's anything underneath this one. There is not. So that's like your main character roster and items, enemies, heroes, items for the board game. This actually has to go in a certain way so that you can grip it, which is actually not that bad. So far, I'm definitely liking this. I know that I have to get to, I just like doing that, sorry. I have to get to the actual map itself. That thing just keeps leaning forward all the time. Oh, this is the heavy one. This might be where the actual thing is. And it's already slightly cut. That is perfect. This one's heavy. So this must be where the actual map is and some of the other pieces that we need. And I'm actually gonna put this down. As amazing as it looks, I feel like I'm just gonna knock it over. It's not really doing it well enough. It's not capturing in the camera as well as I can see it. but I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Not what I was expecting. It's more of an up and down, not a left and right. There you go. Oh, that's beautiful. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I need a frame for this, and I'm just gonna look at it all day. That makes me happy. Didn't know we were getting that. I just love that. That makes me very happy. So I'm glad we got that. Obviously, like, it legit, as soon as I saw it, I was like, shocked me. This is the actual board game rulebook. There you go. I'm not really gonna go through everything, although they do have a quick reference. I think that's really cool. That's a great logistical design where it's like, okay, here's the rules, but also it's like you're in the middle of the game. It's like, all right, here you go. Don't worry about page 12 or page 2 or whatever. It's like, you know, the last thing that you need is right here. That's very cool. I'll be learning all this good stuff. Ooh, I like that. Bloody. Definitely cool. If you guys made it this far, I very much appreciate it. I know that this is I knew this was going to be a long video because the box was so, I'm like, there's going to be a bunch of stuff to go through in this, and also I'm not used to doing unboxings for board games, so it's not my normal wheelhouse. It was really just, it's Resident Evil, which is my wheelhouse, so that's mostly why I'm doing it in general, honestly. So thanks for, you know, just sticking with it through the video, because I know this is me just jumping all over and being like, wow, Resident Evil. Fully handprint for Resident Evil. So this gives you the floors, the introduction, the objectives, special rules, card decks that you're supposed to have, I would assume, or maybe the ones you can choose from. Obviously I have to read through the rules to figure any of that stuff out, but very cool. Says scenario, so you have the different versions. I would assume somewhere in here they would have maybe some of the rules for the extra modes as well, where this might just be, I guess it really is just the scenarios, like the path that you actually end up taking, and then you hop over to the rule book, or just quick reference on the back there, see where you need to go. Okay, not like that. There we go. So this is the world of Resident Evil, the board game. I'm not gonna cut this out yet because obviously I'm not about to play it, and there's, you know, like the pieces actually like come out of here and all that stuff. So it's just this for now, but that's very cool. And then, oh, I have even more dice. I can, whoa. Okay, I guess I didn't know the dice actually were extra dice. I thought it was just like a dice holder. What we got here? I'm just picking out the biggest one. It's what I thought it was going to be. The Tyrant himself. Very nice, very nice. And then a couple extra characters too. Wait, this is, I was just about to say, I assume this is Barry. Yes, it is. Barry. Oh, these are actually the classic ones. So this is like the base game. So you have Barry, Rebecca. So I guess I'll show all of these off. So there's Rebecca. There's Barry. Yeah, there's Chris. And then I skipped over Jill because I'm gonna save the best for last. Jill Valentine. All right, so these are all the classic regular ones. Like if you just bought the base version, that is what you would get. All the other figures we saw before are the figures for the other cards, like the advanced versions and stuff. With the Kickstarter thing, I guess I didn't think to explain that when I was going through the advanced cards, or when I was looking at the figures separately. Those extra figures do represent the actual figure version of the advanced character card. So that was one of the big things where it was like, hey, we're including, yeah, as they got more funding, they're like, you know, unlocking the rewards and stuff. It's like, all right, so now we're adding this character to the game, and this character and this character, and then advanced versions of these characters. But also, if you're doing the alpha pledge like I did, the all-in stuff, you would get figures, or, you know, the actual mini figures to put on your board for those characters. You'd get, you know, both halves of it. So you'd have a card and you'd also have a figure to actually go with it. So I thought that was a really cool thing to do. It wasn't just like, hey, just use Rebecca, you know, in general for that. It's like, no, you can have the special version of the card and you get the alternate costumes. And obviously you can do whatever you want. It's technically the card is just the card, but, you know, you have the advanced versions of the characters, and so you get alternate costumes to utilize as like your stand-in version of the advanced version of the characters. Even though the advanced cards, same pictures and stuff like that, but you get the alternate costumes and figures and stuff to go with them. So I think that's definitely cool. Then we have Lisa Trevor here. Obviously all the enemies are in red, as you can clearly tell. Heroes in a bluish gray. I didn't really talk about that much. It's not gray. It's definitely like it's very bluish gray. It's definitely like right in the middle, but they're not actually gray. You can tell that there's like a little hint of blue in there, so that's pretty cool. Got more hunters in here. Actually, two different looks on the hunter. So we got, you know, the hunter that's kind of just standing there menacingly, and then we have the one that's actually like coming at you when you're really pissed, and it's like the one time I'm in caution, and then you want to jump and chop my effing head off. You know, like we've been there. You know how it is. Like that's when they decide to get tough. It's like, okay, whatever. But so that's how it goes. This is how it goes in Raccoon City sometimes. More of the dice, they're exactly the same as the other ones, so it's nice to have a spare. These are things, and I have no idea what that is. I'm sure I will figure that out at some point, but they're little things, and that's all. I'm not even gonna mess with that. Those are little things, and those are the characters, and that is the base version of the game. You have these sets of characters, and so actually I can show you guys all at once just so you can really get a glimpse at a lot of the extra stuff we've gone through. So this is like your base roster pretty much. If you just got the main game, it's this, and I would assume the other piece, the other box that I opened up that had like the actual cards and stuff, and even some of those cards wouldn't have been in there, or maybe they would all be in there because of the Kickstarter thing. I think the advanced cards I think were automatically in there, and then you know it's been so long I don't remember what figures and pieces and this and that was officially added that was different, but I believe that is the base roster, and then the extra enemy sets, like the different variations of the enemies, some of those are new, and maybe they're in these last two boxes, so that'll definitely help me figure out like exactly which pieces are new, because I know, you know, going through it. And also since I got the space, I'll actually just there we go, put the match right in there, and that is just really cool. Like that, I definitely think that's a great addition. I know it's got like an insane reflection from my light right now, so it's not the best way to look at it, and I'm moving it like kind of fast. There you go, you can see it a little bit better, but that's very cool. So I absolutely adore that they put that in there. That was a nice little surprise, because they definitely didn't show that off as a part of the marketing, and it could have been in the updates. I stayed away from everything update wise, so even if they were like, hey, we put a little surprise in or anything, I didn't know about any of that, and I forgot to put the effing map back in. Of course I did. I'll do it later. There we go. I cannot believe that there's still two boxes. This one is fortunately light, and I'll make it quick to kind of shoot through this and see what we got. I kind of scratched the box, but it's okay. It's okay. Gotta watch those kunai sometimes. You can't even see that I scratched it, but you can feel it if you like actually put your finger on it. But it's okay. It's okay. Things survive in Resident Evil. That's just the way it is. It'll be all right. So much plastic. Into the darkness. Let's see what we got. This is maybe an expansion. More pieces of the board. Be careful again. Okay, yeah. Ooh, the boss battle ones. Okay, these I definitely remember as being a part of like the specialty stuff, and they look good. They look just as good. They look better than what I thought. Look how big this is. See, that you can actually get the real detail on. That is very nice. Ooh, and that's some really good detail. Yes, that's good. I might, these might end up just sitting out. Like honestly, I like the detail of that. And then we have, oh, I can't even get this thing out. They are nicely put in here. I'd say that for like a lot of the different things, there, you know, like all the pieces so far have been like nicely fit into the actual clamshell casing. I think that's very cool. I think they did a really good job with that. This, you know, no surprise, probably this being like their, who knows how many games Steamforged games has actually made, but it's already like the third Resident Evil one. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Yawn. Just big old yawn figure. I love this. That's very cool. And like just the detail on the teeth, like even when I'm looking at it, it's like the teeth really stand out. That's very cool. They even got like a bit of design on the tongue. You can actually, wow. They actually have like the hole in the snake's mouth where they actually like spit the venom from and stuff. They actually have the hole detailed in there, which I don't know if you guys can really see that too well. Unfortunately, I don't know if it'll work, but it's in there. So, you know, if you can see it, you can see it. But if not, sorry. This, I assume, would just be boss cards. Yawn, limited vision. When Yawn attacks, it will always attack a character in the center square if possible. So yeah, I'm not going to cut these open because it's just, you know, the normal boss stuff. But we do also have, well, these are actually different. All right, we'll pop these bad boys open. Give me a sec. Swallow. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I'm reading through the cards. So the enemies have different attacks. You know, snake bite, coiled grasp, slither, venom spit, rapid lunge, body slam. Oh, I'm like, something just dropped on me. A blue herb. And I don't know if that's an image from the game that I don't recognize, or I think it's one of the ones they made up. It just says A on it, but it's just another blue herb card. But I was going through these, and then because I'm super immature, I just got to one attack that just says swallow, and that made me laugh. But these are all Yawn. Here we go. Yawn direction clockwise. Subject black tiger. Black tiger. It's the spider. Black tiger is the spider. I don't think I definitely never knew that was the name of that spider. I always knew Yawn was Yawn, but I didn't know that the spider's called Black Tiger. That's so weird. That's so specific to call it Black Tiger when it could just have been, I mean, they also call the snake Yawn, and I always thought that was weird, but I was like, it almost fits if you're going with like the snake opening wide is like a yawn. That's like the only thing I always thought of when I thought of the connection of it, because I'm like, that has to be what it is. And I had no clue that the spider was called Black Tiger. Definitely haven't heard that one enough. People don't reference that enough, because I'd remember that, because I remember Yawn, but like people don't talk about that spider enough. That is a shame. That's a real shame. So those are the bosses. This is not. This has the little things on the side. Hold up. Oh, there we go. I am high. Oh, also, here's the bottom of that. And there's the top. Oh, this is cool. So I'm gonna see if this has stuff from the beginning, because I saw a picture of Rebecca. And you know, like a little bit of art for Yawn there. This is the image I saw. I was hoping that it was going to be like, oh cool, there's going to be like, you know, full page shots of all the characters and stuff, but don't think that'll be the case. You know, more Yawn. I think it's specifically just going through like, you know, where they actually are in the game during this era. Ooh, I like this image. I like the eye detail there, where it looks very, very gross. I appreciate that. And then we have Black Tiger. The Life of Black Tiger. I'm like, the Black Tiger is so familiar. It's that really bad game that was on PlayStation, The Life of Black Tiger. I'm like, man, Black Tiger is in my head as something else. That's what it was. So those are the bosses that we got there, and we are down to the final box. Oh, almost. You know, we were down to the penultimate box. Let's see who we have. This is Bleak Outpost. So let's see, we got the characters. We got the special versions of the characters. We got the bosses already. This would be Bleak Outpost. I'm not sure what this could be. I'm not sure like what map or figures this would specify as Bleak Outpost, because especially for Resident Evil 1, like if it was like Resident Evil 3, I'd be like, okay, I would think like the Dead Laboratory when I think Bleak Outpost. But I don't know. Let's see what we have on the inside here. And these are more bosses. Okay, so these are the other two bosses. All right. We have Neptune and Plant 42. We have the same zombie again. I was hoping it'd be different. Here's a different one. The Crimson Head. They need to bring these bad boys back. I don't know how they'd really do it. But that would be cool. I think like a lot of people, I wouldn't mind if they did an RE engine RE1 and they were like, let's double up on the remake. It would just be so different that it would actually be worth buying. It would definitely change it, but I thought for sure when RE4 came out, that was the first thing on my mind. I was like, holy crap, they've changed Resident Evil to this. You know, like I was thinking of like going through the Spencer Mansion. Like the first thing that comes to mind, I think of the second floor of the Spencer Mansion, basically the hallway where you go and end up running into Richard and stuff. I was just like, man, you walk down that hallway and you just see it from a different perspective where like the zombies are coming out, and we have that now because obviously that was before even you know the Resident Evil 2 remake came out. But I was like, man, to see all of that stuff, and it's not first person, but you know, it's just a different perspective and the way that you would move the items around and things like that. So it was a lot of stuff where I was just like, man, I would love to see Resident Evil 1 redone in the style of RE4, and I'd still like to see it. If I'm being completely honest, we've gotten to the point that we are remaking. Wow, you actually have to put this thing together. It's really huge. Look, it's got a nice weight to it. What if there's this one? There we go. And thusly, it looks crooked. I think it is crooked. Hold on. Good enough. Plant 42. Once again, large. You know, the boss pieces being this big, I think is very cool. A lot of extra detail. I would love it, of course, if they were actually fully colored, but I'd love that for all of them anyway. But that's kind of the point of miniatures. You got to paint it yourself. But I would definitely have loved it if it was like everything was fully painted in the actual like colors of the game, whether it was, you know, the enemies or the heroes of the game as well. Yeah, Neptune, much smaller. I would love it if it was bigger. I understand why it's not with, you know, Plant 42, but it would definitely be cool if it was like a little bit bigger, just because of how, you know, the size of like the other bosses and how they seem, and especially with it actually being a shark, it would be like one of the biggest ones. Realistically, granted, everything else is a giant version as well. I think the sharks weren't really that much bigger. When you realistically think about it, it's like the sharks kind of just look like big sharks. Everything else was actually like, holy crap, that is not what you would see. Or in the case of the spiders, you pray to God you never see something like that. But the shark for sure was definitely always more like, you know, they're dangerous, but sharks are just dangerous. They're already giant and dangerous, so it's like they didn't even really have to change them. Just put some scars on it, and it's like, yeah, that's scarier, and it works. It works. Same stuff as far as the herbs, Neptune, Plant 42 attacks and all that stuff. So I'm not gonna cut this one open because it's just gonna be the same thing. You know, I don't know if there's a funny like counter card in there to go with the swallow thing to make me laugh again, but I like how they look, and I'm definitely gonna be excited to mess around with those and, you know, deal with the bosses once again, have some flashbacks and stuff before I forget, because I'm always gonna do that. Boom. Boom. I couldn't see that because it was so dark, because like the plastic on it is reflecting my face. I couldn't tell that was actually Plant 42 until I put it up like that and I was looking at it on my TV. So that's actually really cool. So we got our bosses, we have our characters, we have our full Spencer Mansion, and now we can move on to the final box, my favorite box. Actually, I didn't open that one. We're gonna do that just to save it just a little bit longer. First box we actually took out, Resident Evil Boardgame game trays. Alright, had to make sure that was actually it. Pop this one open, and then we're gonna get to the retro pack, which I still believe is gonna be like my favorite part of the whole thing, because it's just gonna be looking at all the art styles and stuff like that. So as we move towards the retro style, random question I'm gonna throw out to you guys for the, you know, like 1.5 person watching. I don't know how it calculates like that, but sometimes it does. Would love to know your favorite Resident Evil game. Favorite Resident Evil, favorite character from Resident Evil, favorite villains from Resident Evil. A lot of my stuff can be found in Resident Evil 3. That's my favorite game. It has Jill, who's my favorite character, and it has Nemesis, who is my favorite villain. So that's a big part of why Resident Evil 3 is just so good. That's what I was like, I feel like it's upside down, but at the same time, the box is right side up. Oh, that's sick. It should show up because of the reflection, but yeah, it says Resident Evil. I love that. That would be really cool if I had this as If you had like just a light that was just like this, where it was just like the Resident Evil text just like that, and it was just a little backlight. I normally don't like those sorts of things, but I feel like I'd really enjoy it if it was like this and like Metal Gear. I don't know why. It's just like those two games. Maybe it's because it was so young. It was like Resident Evil was #1, Metal Gear was #2, but they both also had really unique fonts. Like if I see Resident Evil, I'm like, that's the Resident Evil font. If you see, especially Metal Gear, it's impossible to not to see Metal Gear and be like, what is that? Obviously you'd have to know Metal Gear first, but like those two I see and I'm just like, yeah, it just takes me back to like my, you know, first and second favorite franchises from back in the day. Same thing with this. So this is just, you know, obviously all the game trays and stuff. I was just seeing if they had, you know, more logos and whatnot. So that's really it for that one. It really is just the game tray. And I couldn't even tell you what, you know, I'm not super familiar with board games, obviously. So I would assume this is partly for die. Maybe some of your extra cards. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. Please let me know what all these things, like, I'm sure if you play enough board games, you can just guess what these are for. I'm sure dice go in there somewhere. I don't know. They're very simple. So I had to, you know, do that before we got to the pièce de résistance. So now we will have the retro pack. Definitely my favorite thing amongst everything I saw was the retro pack. It was the thing that, you know, I mentioned with the RE3 board game. It is the thing where I'm like, wow, the only source of pain is not being able to get the retro pack to have classic RE3 cards, just because I would love to have that. And maybe one day I'll spend a ridiculous amount of money on the all-in thing that is on eBay, if it's even still on there. But that junk was like, I swear, I think it was like $1,000. It was one of those things where it was like, you just can't get it. And so the person's just like, I'm just gonna have the price way up here. Someone will do it. Someone will do it. But here we go. The Resident Evil Retro Pack. I haven't really read anything on the boxes, so I'm gonna actually read the back of this one. Once again, just saving the magic that I feel is gonna come from inside this box. Resident Evil, the board game. They stand now in the mansion's eerie front hall, gasping for breath. As they begin to get their bearings, an uncomfortable truth hits them. There are only 4 STARS members left. No one knows whether their other teammates are alive or dead. Is the mission still to investigate the bloody murders and find missing teammates, or is it to survive and escape? This expansion contains over 600 retro-themed cards for your copy of Resident Evil, the board game. And they are super pixelated on the back here, but there you go, Chris and Jill. Man, I'm not gonna lie, because I love how much this looks, this might just go up on one of the shelves. When I'm not playing, this might just be like, basically like just have like a mini art piece that's just the Resident Evil 1 video game with that crazy looking face. And the gun that definitely does not exist in the game either. But here we go. The retro themed cards, all the old stuff. Very heavy because it's like every card in the game. But also definitely nice and compact. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it this way. Whoa, never mind. Quite a few layers. All right, so we'll start with, wow. It looks pixelated, but it looks good. It looks good. So we're gonna start with, the very first thing on top is the Sun Door B. So going all the way back to the doors, which I just assumed, I was like, this kind of looks like the door for all the crescents and whatnot, for the hexagons. That is where we start. Bent my card like a little bit, but it snapped right back. It's good. We're good. Sun Door B. Sun Door, Sun Door, Sun Door. We have the Star Door. We have Aqua Ring, Strange Lock, Electronic Lock, Waterfall Gate, which is just a blue square. I love that. Hilarious. We have all the mansion west, you know, all the items and stuff like that. Here we go. So these are definitely worth showing off. So obviously there's the back. And then we have the 4 crescents here. If I can, there we go. So that's pretty cool. Very pixelated, of course, so you can barely tell, but it definitely look cool. We got the sun, got the star. What's this, wind or something? It almost looks like it's supposed to be a face that's like really swirled up, and I can't really tell. Oh, okay, I see it now. It's this side. It almost looks like the moon is actually like blowing a tornado. Then we got the pixelated star and the pixelated blue moon. So those are definitely cool. Bunch of umbrella blue, oddly enough, blue umbrella logos. We got the all the different stuff. This is interesting. These are actually slightly harder to read because they're based on the original. So it's the black background instead of like when I first showed it off, it was like the beige background. So you can see it, like you can see it way better with the orange. But when it's red, it blends in like just enough to where it's like, oh, okay, it's like a little bit harder to see at certain angles. But I don't think, it's not gonna like destroy the game or anything like that. But that's very cool. And we have a million of those for the players. Oh, and then all the umbrella symbols, whatever that's gonna end up being in the game. So that is the retro pack for that. Also, I don't think I knew that there were going to be different size cards and that there were going to be like these tiny ones as well. So that's actually very interesting to me. Pop that down at the bottom. Then we got like 2 stacks of these. I'm just going to show this off because it's like, there you go, classic shotgun. And then I can barely see it. But there's a green herb in there. I feel like you can see it better on camera, but there's the green herb. We're gonna pop into what I assume is gonna be characters. Characters and enemies, and I believe every single thing has a retro version to it, so that I believe that includes the bosses, and I would assume also the characters. That is the back of the cards. I'm stupid. Charging. Back of the cards, just so you guys can see it. And then it's the door again. So here we go. Oh, this is cool. Definitely looks a lot. There we go. So I have the all clear, and it's just that vibrant green and the blue, and then we have a bunch of orange, of course. What is that? And then just here's a red, so you guys can see it because it just happened to be in there with all the oranges. I thought it was gonna have to go all the way down to the end, but they're kind of mixed up in there. So that's definitely very cool. And I feel like because we have the weapons, like the green herb stuff, I'm gonna leave these together. But I actually want to see the images for the old weapons because I would love to see the samurai edge. Also, the moon is on the back of this one. So let's check it out. See if we got some pixelated samurai edge or Barry's magnum. The imitation key, golden emblem. There's the magnum. The classic rocket launcher. Love that. I like that design way more than the one that they put in the remakes where it's just like the single shot one. When they had that in 2, I was like, that sucks. It is not as cool as like the quad rocket launcher. That's just my favorite one. I just, ever since I was a kid, and it's because of Resident Evil, it was like, to me, that's a rocket launcher. Like that, I think of that, and there's like the one movie I ever saw it in, and it was some Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I'm pretty sure it was, and it was like the lady shot it, but she had it backwards, and she shot like an old newspaper stand when people used to get newspaper on the streets. That's what she blew up. Here's the crank. I have to show that. You're almost obligated. If the crank shows up and you're doing Resident Evil content, you have to show it or talk about it. Incendiary rounds, gotta love those. The kerosene container, very vital. Once the remake came around, it was like, you want some of that. You're gonna want some of that stuff. The self-defense gun, which is very cool. Always like that little thing. Vigil, kerosene. Star tome, moon tome, sun tome. Metal object. Acid rounds, have to love those more. Have to show off the music notes. Once again, you're obligated. If it shows up, you gotta do it. Resident Evil. Used to unlock the first floor West B scenario. Required to complete the first floor West B scenario. Sword key, herbicide, blah, 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 blah. Death mask. Wolf medallion. I assume the guns probably won't be in here. Oh, never mind, I was wrong. I was just about to say, like, maybe they won't be in here because technically you start with the handgun, so maybe it wouldn't show up. But Chris doesn't. So, I guess that's the case. Boom. The samurai edge, which, if you can even I don't know if you can make that out, but it's been here the whole time. I have a replica Samurai Edge. So, there's that. Love that thing, by the way. I also want to get another one. I know that they've made some more replicas. I believe there's already a replica for the new, the Sentinel 9 is the main gun, I think, from RE4. So I know there's already some replicas out there of that. And I'm like, man, I would love to get some more like Samurai Edges and stuff like that. And it would be really cool, especially for the remake, because they actually have like the Kindle stuff like on the old guns. They added that for 4, and I was like, that was one of my favorite features, especially because of the photo mode in the game. You can actually read the gun and read that it says Kendo. So I would love to get a replica of his actual gun from the remake of RE4, just because I know it says Kendo on it, and that would be pretty sick. That didn't go as bad as I thought it was about to, so that's good. Some enemies, supply run. Here we go. Resident Evil. Got our classic enemy cards. I really wasn't thinking like, man, there's gonna be a lot of stuff to open and cut open. I'm very shocked when I ordered this, what, a year and a half ago, or however long ago it was. I wasn't thinking of like how much stuff there would be to cut open. Like, I've been recording for 1 hour and 11 minutes, and it's like there's a lot of stuff to go through. But we have, oh, first off, Umbrella. I love the black and white. I'm a sucker for just black and white. We got a zombie. We got our hunter, Cerberus, Crimson Head, which, you know, and let's face it, they're just good. Crimson Head prototype. Super duper blurry Lisa Trevor. Super duper blurrier Vine. Like, it looks good there, but I'm sure if I blew it up full screen, I'd see how bad that looks, because I can see what it looks like in front of my face. We have Zombie Forest, we got the snakes, we got the web spinner, we got the chimera. Although I think this picture is actually different. You see a lot more of him. Yeah, because I think it would, I'm not going through the box. You can go back to the video if you want to look at the comparison of the things. Snakes, web spinners, chimera. If there's one thing that I will say about all these cards, it's definitely, I don't like the fact that they're so pixelated. Like, this is crows, and they just look like they're like almost blending together a little bit. Like, once you see where they are separately, it's like it's easy to see. Excuse me. But when I first looked at that, I was like, it's super blurry. Wesker prototype, or not Wesker prototype, Wesker zombie, that one's the same. Here's just because it's worth showing Jill, and there's Jill again, so it's the same. It's not like it looks more like her old thing. It would have been super cool if at the very least, oh, okay, there's that. Excuse me. It would be super cool if at the very least for Chris and Jill, if it was their actual like live action photos from the original game. That would have been sick if they did that for like the retro pack. But there's Barry. Where's Barry? Wesker. Whoopsie. Enrico. I wish I could instantly remember. I think most of these are exactly the same when it comes to the characters. I think you do get to see like a tiny bit more of their faces. We got Brad, we got Edward. Oh, just so you guys can see him at least, because that's just a picture worth looking at. Edward Dewey. Okay. Yeah, I think most of these are pretty much the same. Yeah. And then we got our advanced stuff. So a lot of these images are the same, so they have just the different styling, and I don't know, they're slightly different. This is Enrique, and I feel like his was different. Obviously, I'm high, and that was also almost an hour ago, because that was one of the first boxes I popped open. So it's one of those things where it's like, there's a lot to go through, you know, first glance for me to be like, was that exactly the same as what I just looked at, or was it different? So I really can't remember 100%, but these are definitely cool. I do like the blue background, just being like the old item box. I think that's very cool as an addition as far as the retro stuff. And I feel like the enemies are the ones where I noticed it the most, where it's like, I feel like we didn't even see as much of the zombie, and we definitely, for Forest, that was different as well, for sure. So I feel like the enemies got it better, I would say. than the actual heroes did when it comes to the retro pack for that. Obviously the back of it actually being Resident Evil, I think it's very cool. And that goes, it's a little chunk. Just this small chunk of cards has it where it says Resident Evil in the back. The rest have like numbers and then it's just symbols. So obviously all that stuff means something. This is actually not what I was expecting. So flipping through all the backs of the cards, and then I just hit one, and it's this, because this is for the spiderlings. The whole back of the card is just the spider. That's actually really cool. I wish a lot of them were like that. That would actually be sick. Even though it's blurry, I think that would be sick. Actually, I wish all of them had that, because instead of just having like the symbol on the back, that would be super cool if it was actually, you know, instead of just the stars logo or just the umbrella logo, if it was actually just like a full shot of the character, even if it was like just for the retro card, I think it would be great for both. But even if it was just for the retro thing, that would actually make it even more special, where it was like, hey, here's just a full image, but we only did that if you bought like the retro pack. So I think that would actually have been very cool. This I imagine is going to end up being the same, not too much as far as like full retro. Yeah, this is spawn server. Yeah, so the spawn cards are just the same, that blurry image that's like meh. So it's really just that. That's the Cerberus there. So it's really just that. So those are, unfortunately, those are, I would say, like my least favorite cards in the whole game so far, because it's just the blurry images. Aside from the one that was the Chimera, and that was solely based on the fact that you could just easily see, like, oh, okay, that's something that's upside down. It's unsettling and it's very different. So that would be my favorite one out of like just the blurry random window shot where something's coming down the hallway. Let's write that at the back. And these are just scenarios and stuff. Clean up, how convenient, dangerous puzzle, all that stuff. So these are just like basically action cards, like what happens once you get into a room and stuff like that. Wow, there's two down here. Jeez. I think these are the, yep, these are the boss cards again, which will probably end up being the same. I think it's just the blue that's really like the main difference, like the way you can actually look at the text. Oh, hold up. Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's a lot of the same image because it's a lot of the same cards, but since it's more entertaining, we're gonna do it for the back. Also, still insanely blurry. Like, these are really blurry images, and that is a problem. Like, it's weird that it's so blurry when there's like custom art for some of this stuff. But there's Lisa Trevor. I'm doing this so backwards. More Lisa Trevor. A lot of Lisa Trevor. Then we have the Awakened Tyrant right there, which looks so sharp. When I look at it on my TV, because it's like really shrunken down, it looks really sharp, but I know you guys can see it like full screen, and it's like, no, you see how blurry it is, and it's like, yeah, that's super pixelated. That's like the one issue I have so far, is like everything is pixelated, and that's genuinely my only issue. I still love the images and I think they look cool, but it's definitely like, oh, that's, you know, that is fairly unfortunate, just the way that it's so insanely blurry. But yeah, Neptune, that's pretty cool. And that is it. Then we have the Weaken Plant 42, but it doesn't show any pictures. Like, the image is literally just a picture of the actual like that little red square you see. It's just the actual model that I showed off. I thought that said PETA closed. It says petal closed. Like, wow, they just called out PETA for no reason. Well, I mean, I guess it could be written. It don't matter. So that's the boss cards. Check these out. Oh, we have a gold tyrant. So we got more images on the back of the cards. Maybe we'll have some. The plant will be in this one. Enemy Wesker. A bunch of those. Then we have Black Tiger Ceiling Deck is what they call it. We have the Frenzied Black Tiger, which doesn't show anything. It's just text on both sides. Then we have Yawn. I'm just gonna assume a bunch of these as well. Bunch of those. Plant 42, upper level, looks like Peach. A Peach, I mean. James and the Giant Peach, that is literally what that reminds me of, and I'm pretty sure that would be it, yeah. So that is it. That is the enemy cards. These are like I said, aside from the blurriness, I like the enemy cards having just a full-on image on the back. Unless I missed that when I went through the first set of cards. I think that is very nice. I may put this plastic on, and I do believe, oh dang, there's one more. I thought this one looked a little short. I was like, man, it looks like there's some more space on top. Missed a whole deck of cards. Here we go, one last time. And I don't think these are really gonna be much, because this, oh my god, okay. I don't think I noticed how blurry it was the first time, but like you can barely see that. I assume it's exactly the same as it was on the first set of cards, but I'm like actually stopping to look at it. I'm like, that's so blurry. You like that's too much. Like that is, I will say, amongst all this, my only complaint is that the cards, the actual images, because like the text on the cards, everything's fine, but like the images that they use are so blown out, it's ridiculous. Like there's no reason that should be so blurry that I'm like, you can barely see the U in there. Like you can barely tell that it's there. So that, I would say, is the #1 issue when it comes to like this whole set. Like if there's anything to complain about, it's that. It's 100% the images are blurry, and that's super unfortunate, because like, you know, you have even though they're so small, and that's the thing, they're shrunken down, they're super tiny, but the images are so blurry. It's like someone blew it up and that's what they copied, and somehow they got like the super blown up version shrunken down. But it's like, but when you shrink it down, it's supposed to look sharper, but it's this tiny and it's still like insanely blurry. So I will say that is my one issue when it comes to this whole board game. Obviously I haven't played it, I'm sure I'll love it, it's a board game. But if there's like anything where I have to say like, oh, that I just don't like, it's 100% the super blurry image on basically all the cards. So that is my one issue with the whole thing. Other than that though, I am excited to eventually play this. I already got cards sliding all over the place, but that's okay. I'll get those when I get those, unless the thing pops off the top and then the cards slide away. But I think this is very cool. There we go. I am looking forward to playing it at some point. I'm definitely gonna have to obviously go through all the rules and stuff like that, because like I said, I think you can technically do a solo game, but it's definitely, you know, it's a board game, so of course they're all meant to be played with multiple people. But that is the Resident Evil board game unboxing. I know that this is a super long, I don't know, this is gonna take me forever to go through and edit all of this stuff, but that is the Resident Evil board game. I think it's pretty cool. As someone who made the decision to back it, especially because it's like, all right, well, you know, missed Resident Evil 3, that would have been my #1 choice. Go with the Resident Evil remake / Resident Evil 1, because there's so much in here that's like so based on, you know, and, you know, it's just, I think it's because I got the early version that it has the classic director's cut style to it, and then the main game is where it's like, okay, here's the remake part, but since you got like the early Kickstarter version, we'll make it look like all the classic stuff. Because I do think that was probably one of the things that they referenced, where it was like, you know, if you get maybe even up to a certain pledge or whatever, that it would have more of the stylings of the classic Resident Evil game. But I think it looks cool. You know, like I said, I like especially the retro box. That was the #1. Just even looking at this, like I said, I think I might just end up leaving this up on the shelf just because it looks really cool, and it's like, it's just the Resident Evil logo, but oddly enough, this is blown up and it looks fantastic. This is what all the cards should look like, where it's blown up. I mean, they're not even blown up, they're shrunken down, but they all look like Jill and Chris off the back of this thing, which I thought was an artistic choice, just to make them pixelated, which doesn't make any sense. But now it's like, well, everything's super blurry and pixelated, that just kind of fits the aesthetic, because it's definitely the images from the cards. It's not like they're using the 3D images, you know, models or anything from the game and then doing it. Like, it's all 2D artwork and stuff like that. So I don't know if anybody has any idea why that's like the one issue that's kind of permeating this, you know, board game, is that the images are oddly blurry. I would love to know, but it's definitely just like, all right, that's the one thing. I still love the images, I love the artwork. Obviously the choice that they had for Brad is like, that it was funny. It's a funny looking face. That was a great choice. So I like everything that we got. I definitely like the extra stuff that I got as far as the alpha pledge and everything, like the boss figures having such detail. Absolutely love that. I think that's really cool. Like I said, I do wish Neptune was a little bit bigger, but at the same time, if I had to pick one that was small, I'd be like, you know what, yeah, make it the shark. I would prefer to have like a giant spider figure because I think it looks cool. Having Yawn be big has to be done, and then of course Plant 42 is the same way. So it's like if you're gonna make one thing smaller than the rest, it's like, all right, I guess it was the shark that wasn't really that mutated compared to just a shark that can get that big anyway. So I'm okay with that choice. But of course would just love all, you know, for all of them to be big. Obviously I would love all the figures to be like much larger and stuff. I didn't realize just how small they were gonna even end up being, if I'm being completely honest. I thought they would, you know, be a little bit bigger, but they're so tiny. It's like I don't even see how I could paint that. I'd have to, you know, use an effing microscope to paint some of the crevices in there. So they're a lot smaller than I thought they were gonna end up being. But in all honesty, I also know myself. I'm like, when am I gonna paint some minifigures anyway? So I don't think it really matters that they're that small. I'm just surprised that that's how small they really are. But having like all the alternate costumes and extra characters and stuff, it's like I'm not painting all of that. Like I'm gonna paint Jill, Chris, Rebecca. I might do Barry, and I could easily do Wesker because it's a lot easier with this dark color palette. But I don't see myself really doing that anyway, so it doesn't actually make a difference. And that's also just normal because it's a board game. But I definitely like it. I like everything that came with it, especially considering I got like all the stuff. I definitely love it. I think the retro box is definitely my favorite part of it because of just the fact that it's that old school style. Like you can mix up the cards because they're the same cards. It's just that's why this one's so heavy, because it's just all the cards in the game just with like a slight retro theme to them. So having the blue background, it's just like that little slight, you know, twist of nostalgia is like, oh, you know, that the blue text box, or it just having the old imagery of the shotgun and the handgun, like the actual old images and not the ones that they used, you know, obviously for the remake as well. So same items and stuff, but just, you know, old versions of them, things like that. And it's like, that's cool. I definitely love it. Like it hits it. Like it's literally just the box is blue, you know, and it's just like I see the blue background and the items on it, and it's like, that's nostalgia for me. So it just hits, and that was a big part of why I was like, this is the one thing, like if I can only choose one extra thing, it would have been this. But I'm glad that I got everything, because I definitely like the game mats. I think they actually look really cool, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy, of course, all the expansions and stuff was to have like the full scope of the game itself anyway, so it was like, it was extra, but it almost felt essential anyway. You know, it's just that sort of thing where it's like, you know, it's technically extra, but it's like you want the whole, you know, as much as you can get, you know, like the whole game within the board game realm. So kind of essential, but you know, everybody's different. Some people want all of it, some people don't. But for me, it was like, this will most likely be the only one. As much as, you know, I really enjoy Resident Evil 4, I'm sure it'll be a great board game, all that good stuff. They have a track record. Like I said, I believe this is the third one they've done, since they did 2 and 3 beforehand. They went with kind of blending the two together to get the remake and the original one all in one board game. So that was actually a really cool idea to do it that way. And that way they don't have to worry about it. It's like both versions of Resident Evil 1 are represented in this pack. So really good idea to do that. And yeah, no one really feels left out. It's like you have so much of the imagery of the original game, and then you open up the actual thing and it's like, oh, okay, there's the remake part, but the outside of it, you know, having the eye and everything, it's like, oh, you know, it feels like classic Resident Evil. So good job on that one. Resident Evil 4 coming out, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I don't see myself doing it personally, because the whole point was to have like just one of my favorite Resident Evil games. 4 is one of my favorites. You know, technically every Resident Evil game, I guess, is one of my favorite games ever, because it's Resident Evil, except maybe 5. I was just never a big fan of 5. I actually prefer 6 over 5. I know how that sounds for a lot of people, but personal opinion. But definitely enjoyed this. Thank you guys for sticking through this insanely long unboxing video. As someone who does not do unboxings for board games, because I don't really buy board games at all, it was definitely interesting just going through it, because for me it was definitely a new experience, being like, okay, so these things are actually this small. I knew what I got, but it's also been so long since I really checked on it, so having some of the trays where it's like I open them up and it's like, man, there's just a bunch of enemies here, and there's just a bunch of like alternate costumes and other characters that, you know, you normally don't get to play with at all because they're dead or they're missing, and then they come up dead. So that was actually kind of cool. Like I'm actually kind of excited. I want to use some of the other characters. I want to use Enrique. I want to use, you know, Kenneth, and yeah, maybe not Brad. You know, I'll look at the picture, but it's like, I just, you know, he left. He just took off. It's kind of effed up. Just saying. But definitely enjoyed unboxing all of this and just going through the absolute insanity of having all of this stuff. And now I'm gonna have to put it all back in this box to just like have it out of the way, instead of having 4 giant boxes, which is It's crazy. Like, I genuinely just wasn't expecting the boxes to be so big, and like there's like 9 boxes in here to unlock. Wow, that's definitely feeling like I'm in Resident Evil now. I have to unlock these boxes. But yeah, I definitely think this was cool. Like I said, honestly, my sole issue is just the simple fact that the images are blurry. That's like my one thing. Everything else is good. All the figures look cool. Having every costume and all the characters, all the monsters and variations on the zombies and everything like that, that's cool to have just for the simple sake of variety, and it's nice. And actually have doors to set up where it's like, you could just have the flat map and then you just move a square, but it's like, we can get extra fancy, have a door with an actual door hinge, like you can actually swing it open and close. I still find that to be crazy because I thought it was just going to be like an open door, and it was like, no, that it moves. So for me, I was like, that's an extra touch, and I appreciate that extra touch. So got all the terrain, got all the crap you don't really need, but it just immerses you in there. I'm happy to have all of that. I'm excited. I'm honestly, it's probably going to be forever before I actually get to sit down and play this game, and that sucks, but I'm going to be very happy the day that I just sit down and then it's like, boom, Resident Evil board game. It's going to be a fun day. It might take a long time before that happens. I also need a giant table considering all the stuff that I just looked at with all the different maps and everything like that. But the day that I do eventually play it, I'm going to be very, very happy, and I'm definitely going to kick things right off with the retro box. I might even go, I won't go alternate costume. I'll do the classic costume the first time through. I'm gonna, it's Jill. I'm gonna use Jill as my first character for sure. But thanks for checking this out, everybody. Like I said, I know it was super long, so I hope you guys in some way, shape, or form enjoyed just seeing this massive unboxing. There's never been anything that I've had to unbox that's taken me this long because there's so much stuff in it. I honestly, I feel like I mostly stuck to unboxing, and I didn't go on a lot of high tangents and talking about all these different Resident Evil things. This is obviously the end, so carte blanche to ramble. But I feel like I was gonna just like, we're going through it. It's like, let's check out these cards, let's check this out, let's check that out, and it still took me over an hour. Like it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to look at, but I'm glad I got it all. Would love to know your thoughts on if you guys have the other Resident Evil board games. I would love to know your thoughts on those. What you guys think of this as far as it being the alpha pledge, like the all-in stuff, and getting everything with it. What your thoughts are on the extra stuff, anything that I have that you didn't decide to pick up. Would love to know your thoughts on it. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. Like I said, I'm not super used to doing unboxings like this, so if you guys do want to see anything different, or like an extra video or something with like the figures more detailed or anything like that, definitely let me know. Like if it's a smaller video, I'll take like some really high-res pictures and use like my macro lens and get like super up close. So if you guys want to see any of that stuff as far as like actual up close detail, just let me know. I will gladly get that, just because I like taking pictures of like my random nerdy things. So I'll gladly do that and turn it into a video if anybody even cares, if you're even here. But thanks for checking this out. If you guys have any comments at all about anything, please leave them down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.
You hungry? I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. You hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. Like I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Like I'm Shaggy. Man, I'm hungry. Man, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Yeah, man. You hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry.